tu bois sans dire à tout.
What's going on there, jerk faces? It's your boy Andy, and you're watching Nocturnal Transmissions, brought to you by the Circle of Jerks podcast. It's a conversation you could be having during the day, but having at night. Welcome back to another live stream. I know right now Rob isn't with us. He will be joining us a little bit later, hopefully later in the night. But he will be here. I mean, those of you Rob fans out there wondering where he is, he just, he got called into work last minute, and he's getting up work kind of kind of late, and so it wasn't certain that he would be able to join us for the live stream, but he texted me before I came on and said, "Hey, just get started, and I'll meet you. I'll meet you in the middle." I was like, "Okay." Rob will be joining us a little bit later. We have the regular stream as always. We got our movie review, which again is East versus West. So tonight will be Seven Samurai and the Magnificent Seven. And joining us for the review is friend of the podcast, and if you've checked out the main podcast, you've seen his episode, or at least you should have. David Blake. That'll be to close out the stream per usual. Just quickly to catch you guys up. This weekend was was good. Caught the fights. The UFC, it wasn't one of the numbered ones, so it wasn't as big, but still entertaining, although not as exciting as the last one was. In I forget what it was, like some city in Florida, Jacksonville, was it? Or forgive me, but I don't recall. What else? I got to hang out with James, and his brother and his sister-in-law, me, his brother, and James's sister-in-law, we're good friends. We're close. Since probably middle of 2 years, maybe 2 years ago was the last time I saw them. Yeah, because I think it was sometime in during winter. But they were living out of country, and James's brother has since moved back, but his wife still lives and works out there. And the plan is for her to come out and live out here, but with everything that the plan was for them to move back out here, but because of the craziness with the corona and lockdowns, their immediate future plans are a little less certain. It was good to see them, good to hang out. Me and James' sister-in-law have we definitely have a brother-sister relationship there. I remember one of the first conversations that we had was it was at a bar, and it was just about when the Rihanna and Chris Brown stuff happened. The subject came up, and we were discussing it, very lightly. I simply put it out there and said, I wonder what she said to him to make him go off. And she was, and James's sister-in-law was kind of perplexed, like, what do you mean? It's like, what do you mean? Like, what did she say? It's like I'm not, and again, I'm not condoning the beating of women or anything, but I've said it before that sometimes women don't understand the power of words, because they never been popped in the mouth for what they've said, for what they say. This is just a sad This is just a sad reality for women. I'm not. Again, I'm not saying that Rihanna deserved it. I'm not saying that it's okay to beat women, but women, something they don't understand that words have, or some words cause certain reactions. And I'm not saying that it's a good thing to beat on women or whatnot, but I want to know what she said to get to set off Chris Brown. And she came at me very strongly about saying, like, oh, domestic violence is no joke and yada yada. It's like, yeah, I get that, but still I want to know what she could have said to set him up, because I mean, regardless that if he's a piece of if Chris Brown is a piece of shit woman beater or not, she had to have said something to set him up, because he save for the fact that he's just a garbage person with no respect for women, and just start beating up for no reason. I'm going to stand the slightest. I'm going to extend the slightest bit of doubt and say that he didn't start beating on her for no reason. They were reportedly having a fight or an argument, and I would like to know what she had said that got him so angry enough to start beating on her. And so yeah, that was one of the first questions. That was one of the first conversations. Really deep. I mean, me and James's sister-in-law, we've had interactions prior to this, but it was all very kind of nice and very pleasant. Because we have up until that point we only had a few interactions socially, but this was the first one where it kind of brought down the barrier, and we became friends. And so, yeah, so again, I have one of those personalities where it's like, I can I'm a talker, so, and I can, I think I'm slightly less worse than used car salesman, because I do use I do use persuasion tactics to my advantage. I mean, just ask Robert's wife. I'm constantly beating her in verbal sparring, because she comes at me I have, I'm gonna fold like a lawn chair, but I end up winning the argument. I mean, to that point, I remember recently I was hanging out with some people, and this girl, speaking in the manner in which I speak, very confidently, very skillfully, and I kind of in jest said, like, oh, I'm always right, so and this girl said to me, he's like, oh, Andy's the type of person that he can convince you that he's right. And and then I said, it's like, no, it's not that I'll convince you that I think I'm right, but I will prove to you that I am right. And so then I think for the sake of what is it, keeping things kind of on an even keel. She just kind of just not smiled and nodded her head. Essentially, is what she did. But it was really funny because more and more people are starting to figure out I have a certain personality trait, and it's actually kind of nice to be recognized. I'm so persuasive that I can convince someone that I'm right, which usually I am. Um, but it's not that difficult to be proven right or to know that you're right. Because especially I will never claim knowledge that I don't already have. I'll always save my opinion or judgment until I get a fuller picture of a situation or an idea. So yeah, so when I speak confidently and when I say that I'm always right, it comes from a place of confidence and of researching and really get putting the idea through its paces and wrestling with it. Um, so that I'm always accurate and colloquially that I'm always right. And I think that's an idea that's being lost not personally and culturally. um More and more people are like kind of off outsourcing their knowledge. um that they turn to the experts, or they just kind of they turn to some authoritative or like someone who looks like as though they are an authority on a certain subject or an idea. But ultimately, uh, you know you yourself should be your own expert. You yourself should be your own authority on any given topic or subject. Because otherwise, you're just kind of regurgitating. And I mean, regurgitating has its place. It's definitely useful when memorizing something. Uh, but if you aren't, I forget who said it, but if you can't, you haven't mastered something unless you're able to, teach it to somebody else. I mean, just think about it. If you didn't know how to tie your shoelace, but then you try to teach someone how to tie their shoelaces, it wouldn't work because you don't possess that knowledge. You haven't practiced that skill enough to the point of mastery, because so then you can pass down that knowledge. So that's why I am I think that's partly why I'm so persuasive in my speech, is because I become a master, or I've wrestled and I grappled with an idea so much that I've attained the knowledge. I'm able to retain that knowledge because I really made it a part of myself. Um, and that's how I'm able to be so persuasive. So like, yeah, my example of someone who doesn't know how to tie a shoelace trying to teach someone else how to tie a shoelace just doesn't, I think it's a very apt example or apt analog for kind of the state of affairs of the world. I mean, because we're constantly inundated with people, authoritative sources, quote unquote, um, telling you how the world is. But and then a lot of people, they just take it for granted and say, okay, yeah, this guy has a microphone, so of course, he knows more than I do. It's like, no, he doesn't, or no, she doesn't. Um, you have to be your own source of you have to be your own source of knowledge. You can't just you just can't off you can't just off put it to somebody else. Um, Sorry about that. Um, so yes, and yeah, so that's what I did on Saturday, and of course on Sunday, um, on Sunday it was Mother's Day, of course, and so did something with had dinner with my mom's. My dad made this Korean dish called posam, which is it's a boiled well, the way he makes it is with pork belly. And I guess the only time I've had posam it was pork belly. So yeah, it's like this boiled pork belly, usually in some aromatics, garlic, onion, and the like. And then it's served with some what is it? Slightly pickled Napa cabbage. Usually the inner parts, not like the big leafy green parts. Um, with kind of uh, a brine shrimp. What is it like sauce or something? With yeah, it's like this brine shrimp. Like chili flakes and was it scallions or green onions? And yeah, you kind of eat it as like a wrap. But my dad, he's kind of like me. He's a foodie, and he's really on this kick on like perfecting the recipe because this isn't the first time he tried to make it. Um, Usually he would boil it in Coke and some other uh, aromatics and such, but this time he tried like he sweetened it a little bit. He substituted the the cola for some red wine, and then augmented that with some brown sugar. He was supposed to use honey, but we didn't. I guess he forgot to pick up the honey. But ultimately, it ended up nice. Um, what is it? Posam is something that's reserved for those like special occasions, and of course Mother's Day would warrant such a meal. And so oh well, there's Rob. So let's get him in. All right, do we have Rob? We have Rob.